Hey friends, it's hot outside, so I thought I'd come outside and make a video and bring along my little friend. Feels so good. Anyway, I wanted to warn everyone about magazine salesmen who are scammers. They are starting to travel all over the nation, and I don't know if they even know they're scammers, but they get lured in with promises of free trips and that sort of thing. They bust them all over the country, and from what I was reading, they're very mistreated a lot of the time. And I've had different experiences with these guys, but the script has remained the same since like 20 years ago, and it's just bad, and I always know what they're going to say next. Except for the first guy that I dealt with, that was different. I was 18 or 19 when I worked at a shoe store, and it was my break, and I decided to walk across the parking lot to Fred Meyer. This guy yelled to me, "Excuse me, do you know where the Kmart is?" And I said, "No, sorry." And I started to walk in, and he goes, "Well, hang on a second." He runs over to me and says, "You want to buy some magazines?" And I said, "I don't have money for magazines." And then he said, "Well, don't you have a debit card like any other white girl?" And he was a white guy, just really bizarre comment. And I said, "No." And then he says, "When are you going to take me out?" "I'm not." And he goes, "Oh, I'll take you out. We'll go to Taco Bell." And I said, "I hate Taco Bell." And somehow I got away from the guy and was just really kind of shaken up by the experience, just how aggressive he was acting. And when I got inside, I saw one of my teachers from high school, and she saw immediately how upset I looked, and I begged her to drive me back to work because I didn't want him to see where I worked. And when I got back to work, I think I was working with my manager the next day, and right after I told my manager about the guy, I saw him through a window walking towards the store, and I immediately went and hid in the back because I wasn't sure if he was there for me or if he was there to try to sell magazines to her. And so she managed to get rid of him, and he actually tried to sell magazines to her in the store, and she said, "Well, are you going to buy some shoes?" No, he didn't want to buy shoes, he just wanted to sell magazines. A couple weeks later, I heard about a guy who was trying to sell magazines to a girl who went to our high school, and she was working at Baskin-Robbins. And first, when she said no to buying a magazine, he asked her out too. And when she said no, he spat in her face. I'm sure that had to be the same guy. So I've never taken kindly to these magazine salesmen who claim they're doing it for points or charity or something like that. So one common thing they say is that they're out trying to improve their public speaking skills, which doesn't really make any sense. It's really salesman skills, not public speaking. They're not speaking in front of crowds. And then they'll say, "How am I doing so far?" And they're super cheesy, and they laugh at everything you say, and they act like you're the funniest person on earth. Well, maybe in my case. The first thing a few of them have said to me is, "Hey, I'm out trying to get people to vote for me." The first time they said that, I asked, "What are you running for?" Well, the way you vote for them is you buy magazines, and they get points. And so one of the guys that came to my door, I just immediately said, "Are you selling magazines?" Because I really didn't want to sit through the whole spiel again. It's annoying. I can't stand the insincere act. One time I watched my mom talk to one of those guys. He looked like he had just been released from prison. And when he said, "How am I doing so far?" she goes, "Well, can I just tell you something? You smell like cigarette smoke, and that could be off-putting." You should have seen the look on his face. So some of my friends who live in my old town just had some of these guys the other day, and they were making all these comments like, "Oh, you sure are well off," and "How do I get to where you are in life?" and that sort of thing. And they acted like they were obligated to donate. And they didn't have it set up so you can just donate $20. No, the minimum is to spend, hundreds of dollars on a magazine subscription. And when my friend said, well, I can't do more than $20 if my husband's not around, then he goes, well, anyone could do $20. I'm guessing they want access to people's checks and their credit card numbers and that sort of thing. So just days after my friends were telling me about this, I had a guy come to my door, and it was just at the time that I was expecting my friend to come pick up their daughter. And it was a very friendly knock, so I thought that was them, and I opened the door, and I immediately knew it was a magazine guy. And I know I was looking at him like, I hate you. I just can't help but think that they're casing houses. That's how I always feel. Or maybe some of these guys feel like they have a legit job. But I'm sure lots of them also break into houses on the side. I get totally livid when I see a so-called salesman taking a peek inside my house. Now, I'm sure when they do, they decide, ew, there's nothing good here. That's what happens when you have 5 kids. Anyway, please especially warn your elderly neighbors about this kind of thing. I would say don't buy anything at your doorstep unless it's Girl Scout cookies or something like that. They actually have a product with them that you can just buy right at that moment. We did have a guy come to our house and offered to paint our address on the curb so that emergency services could find us easier, and we did pay that guy. I thought, okay, he's offering a service. He's not going to just run away with our money. Otherwise, I feel like most things are a scam, and you can't troll someone at your door like you can on the phone. So I'm nice to them. There are people who slam the door in their faces, but I always think, hey, they know where I live, and I can't be a jerk. But I told the guy it was a bad time. It was all this crazy stuff going on at the moment. And he said, oh, so I could come back Tuesday and you won't yell at me? I don't know if he's really going to come back, but I'm kind of tempted to ask him if I can interview him about what it is that he does and who he works for and how he got here and are they treating you right and all that kind of stuff. Maybe give him a glass of lemonade. I did have a friend send them away with a juice box. So please warn all of your loved ones. This might just be a US scam. I really don't know. But I think old school people who used to buy things at their door all the time are maybe less likely to be hesitant about door-to-door salesmen. But I just don't feel safe when people I don't know knock at my door. And my kids, I will tell them don't answer the door, but sometimes they still come running and throw the door open. And by the time I get there, there's some dude I don't know standing in our doorway. That just really freaks me out. Maybe I'll make 10 videos like this. It's making my chair wet. I feel like I peed myself. I hope you all stay safe and that you won't have to deal with any scammers at your doorstep. Tell me about some experiences you've had with magazine scammers or other scammers at your door.